The reigning NL Cy Young Award winner was on full display against the Mets. Come sail away with us. This is MLB Game Night.
When that final out is made, you know it's time for Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
Hello again, baseball fans, and welcome to MLB Game Night. Every game, every night. I am JD Hafron, host of Locked On Cardinals. With me, as always, is my man Jon Frisch, host of Locked On Angels. Coming up on today's show, Yankees. Can they finally score some runs? If they did, was it enough? The Royals do something they haven't done since 2014. It's like a million years ago. And then the Dodgers look to take the series against the Padres in LA. You know, it's a lot of fun when those two teams butt heads. So we'll get into all of it tonight. Today's episode being brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. All right, we're going to start in Hotlanta. The Mets in Atlanta, after coming back on Tuesday with the dramatic walk-off win, Braves sent reigning NL Cy Young Award winner Chris Sale to the mound to face the division rival Mets. And to say he looked good is a bit of an understatement. Here is Lindsey Crosby from the Locked On Braves postcast with the story.
Look now, but Chris Sale is gunning for a second consecutive Cy Young Award. I'm Lindsey Crosby of the Braves postcast. And the Atlanta Braves took down the New York Mets 5-0. You got solo home runs from Ronald Acuna Jr. and Matt Olson. But the story here, Chris Sale, 8 2/3 scoreless innings with 7 strikeouts, including 5 of the trio of Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, and Pete Alonso, who he held hitless in this one. Just utter dominance from Chris Sale, who has now lowered his season ERA to 2.52, and in the last 7 games, he's 4-1 with a 1.14 ERA. Chris Sale is rolling. The Atlanta Braves are 6-2 in their last 8 games, and tomorrow they get Spencer Strider versus Clay Holmes as they go for the sweep in Truist Park.
Selfishly, John, I kind of needed Sale to get that last out. I was a little about that. I want to get that complete game, and I'm sure he did too, but there was a bloop single down the third baseline, and he was up to 116 pitches. I get why their manager Snitker removed him. Sale did not look upset about it at all. Right. He was like, I feel like he went out there and said, great job, and he said, thank you. Walked off the mound, was pretty confident that he wasn't going to finish that game. So, when you're a fantasy owner, but a hell of a job by Chris Sale. Meanwhile, for the Mets, things just continue to sink. We got Chris from Locked On Mets postcast to tell you all about it.
If it can go wrong, it is going wrong for the New York Mets as they drop their 5th game in a row, getting shut out by the Atlanta Braves. Chris Sale, 8 2/3 scoreless as the Mets fall 5-0. The Mets can't hit right now. Tonight, Soto, Lindor, Alonso combined to go 0 for 12 with 5 strikeouts. They can't get good quality starting pitching. Paul Blackburn only able to give them 3 2/3, gave up a 3 spot in the first, and they're not playing fundamental baseball. Luis Torrens in there after a miscue by Francisco Alvarez the night before. He makes a miscue of his own, using his mask to stop a ball. That directly leads to a run, sets up a sac fly for another run. Passed ball, wild pitch, leads to a 3rd run. 3 of the 5 runs that the Braves scored tonight can be directly linked to a miscue behind the plate tonight. The Mets just can't get out of their own way. They might be pressing. They might just be getting a string of bad luck, not playing well, having injuries, whatever it is. The Mets have to find their way out of this soon, or they run the risk of just inviting Philadelphia and Atlanta back into the NL East race.
Things a little rough in New York right now. John, Mets have now lost 5 in a row. The Yankees had lost 5 in a row. Not scoring runs coming into tonight's tilt against your Angels. John, what went down tonight at Yankee Stadium? Tell us all about it.
Yeah, you mentioned it. The Yankees held scoreless for 29 consecutive innings, and the Angels are taking the first 2 games of this 4-game set. So could the Yankees finally get some offense and actually put some runs on the board this time around. Brian from Locked On Yankees is going to tell us about his side of things with his Bronx Bombers. And, well, turns out the runs were there, but it wasn't quite enough.
Yankees stopped their scoreless streak by getting 2 runs, but the story remains the same. A 6th consecutive loss for the Yankees. They only get 2 runs across by 2 solo home runs, and it all remains the same. They don't score. They don't hit with runners in scoring position. They don't get clutch hits. And this game, it was Anthony Volpe with a huge error late in this game where they almost got out of it, but weren't able to. The team still isn't hitting, and the team meeting clearly did not work. Lots to discuss on Locked On Yankees as they finally are hitting their summer swoon we've all been afraid of.
Yeah, that Volpe error was costly. Hey, by the way, vote Zach Neto for the AL shortstop to the All-Star game, by the way. But, it's what happens when you put the ball in play, JD, and in this situation, it was a bases-loaded situation. Joe Adell, instead of striking out, which in years past is probably something that he would do, he just put the ball in play. He hit it hard, hit it at Volpe, gobbled him up, and then he threw to second, past the second baseman. And so, that's part of the game, is just putting the ball in play and making stuff happen and make those guys make plays in the infield. And as we saw in the World Series, Yankees don't always have the best fundamentals out there that you could certainly take advantage of that. But again, it wasn't really, I can't say that it was like a bad thing on Volpe. It was hit hard and bobbled it. And there you go. That's what's going to happen in a high pressure situation. But JD, can I say this just real quick? For years, it was the Angels need pitching. They got to get pitching. They sign a new player, some sort of position player. And it was always, yeah, but can he pitch? Like that was the joke, right? And somehow the Angels have put together a pitching staff that I would say is keeping them in 80% of these games, 80% of the time, right? And even though the offense isn't always what we would like it to be, the pitching staff is keeping them in games. The team ERA, it sucks. You can go look at FanGraphs. You can go look at Baseball Reference and see what are they doing way down there. But the fact is, they don't have the flashiest names in the world, but tonight they certainly locked it down. And Jack Kohanowitz just made 2 mistake pitches, and they were the only 2 hits the Yankees had off of him in his start. And they were solo home runs. One was a big boy home run from Jazz Chisholm, and the other was the short porch kindergarten home run from Cody Bellinger.
Yankee special.
The old Yankee special. Jack Kohanowitz, he's got a 49% ground ball rate entering tonight's game. And he's somebody who's struggled so far this season, but he did have a good outing against Baltimore, but it was cut short in a rain delay. And so we were all kind of hoping, all right, maybe he could keep that going from that Baltimore game. And he certainly did that against the Yankees tonight. So the Angels end up taking this one 3-2 by the skin of their teeth. But I got to say, for building a bullpen on the fly and keeping the same 5 starters that you started the year with, the Angels pitching staff might not look great on paper, but they're certainly keeping their team in games.
Now, getting the W is all that really matters. And the Yankees have not done that in a while. Taking a look at the standings, the Yankees lead continues to shrivel in the American League East. The Tampa Bay Rays have been playing really, really well recently. Speaking of the Rays, they had a crazy game against the Orioles. We're going to talk about that. Plus, how did Game 2 of the Rafael Devers era go for the Giants? That's coming up next on MLB Game Night. Whether you're gearing up for back-to-back meetings, shuttling kids back and forth to activities, or perhaps you're tackling that endless honey to-do list, your morning sets the tone for everything that's going to happen in your day, and that's why it needs to start with the perfect cup of coffee crafted just for you. Enter Trade. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the United States. It delivers fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. Whether you're a cold brew fan like me in the summertime, if you're going to drink coffee, I don't know how you drink it hot at this time of the year because it is warm, but maybe that's just who you are. Maybe you're a pour over purist. They've got a roast that you're going to love no matter what you do. So it seems like everything's getting more expensive these days. So I personally want to get my money's worth on everything I'm purchasing. And that's why I love Trade Coffee's prices, comparable to the grocery store brands, but the big difference is the flavor. They're way up here, while those other guys are way down here. Right now, Trade is exclusively offering our customers 50% off your 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. So take advantage of that. That's TRADE.com/lockedonmlb for 50% off your 1-month trial. drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. Well, the big trade that kind of shook the MLB world the last couple of days, Rafael Devers going to the San Francisco Giants. Guardians spoiled the debut of Devers on Tuesday. Would the Giants have their revenge in Game 2? We've got Justin from Locked On Guardians on how they handled things at Oracle Park on Wednesday.
And all of the sudden, the Guardians are 2-3 on this West Coast swing of 9 games after being swept in Seattle over the weekend. Things are not looking so bleak for them. What's up? This is Justin Latta of Locked On Guardians. Daniel Schneemann, a big blow for the Guardians, a 3-run homer off of old nemesis Justin Verlander. Not only did that win feel good because the Guardians needed it, but it always feels good to beat Justin Verlander, an old nemesis of Cleveland. But second base this year, we thought, oh, Gabriel Arias won the spring training job. And then there was Juan Brito who's hurt, who hasn't been up this year. And then Angel Martinez has been, electric at times and has given a spark, but hasn't been consistent. It's Daniel Schneemann, the former 33rd round pick, who has really bided his time, waited his way to get to the major leagues, has had some really big home runs for the club this year, also played some good defense at second base tonight, and really has been a stabilizing force for this team. He hasn't been a fantastic hitter, but he's been pretty darn good, and he's been better than the guys we thought would be at second base. Logan Allen, a solid start. Big win for Cleveland because Logan Webb awaits them on Thursday. The Guardians do get to counter with Gavin Williams, who could pitch pretty well, but it's always dicey with him. But the Guardians have a series win. They're 2-3 on the road trip. Things are looking up a little bit more. They scored that magic number of 4 runs. We'll break it all down for you on Thursday on Locked On Guardians. Make sure you tune in wherever you get podcasts.
Now, Justin mentioned 33rd round pick. For
Remember
those
those
of you
days?
unfamiliar, that don't exist no more.
Right.
That's how long ago that was. Now, 2018 is not forever ago, but yeah, they used to have crazy rounds. I had buddies of mine who were drafted like in the 40 rounds and so like in the 45th and so like it used to be way longer, but only 20 rounds now. They don't have it go quite that much. So where would Daniel Schneemann be if the draft hadn't lasted that long back then? The big news in this one, outside of the Guardians winning another game, Devers 0-for-3 with a walk and a K. Justin Verlander making his first start since May 18th, got tagged for 4 runs, 3 of them earned in 4 2/3 innings, gave up 7 hits, including that 3-run shot by Schneemann, which really burned because it was an 0-2 cookie, man. And, when you get ahead of somebody 0-2, you want to either put them away or at least get an out. And he threw one right down Broadway, and JV doesn't throw the smoke like he used to. He might have a smoke show wife. He does not throw that hard like he used to. 94 miles per hour right down the middle. Schneemann popped it for an Oppo Taco, and that's basically your game right there. So 0-2 Giants with Rafael Devers. So clearly he's the problem, right?
Yeah.
We move on to the Orioles at the Rays. Series split after the first 2 games. Both teams have been playing extremely well over the last couple of weeks. And after the second inning in this one, you'd have thought that this game was in the bag for Baltimore. The Orioles hit 3 home runs and erupted for 8 runs in the second inning. Colton Cowser, home run last night. Another one tonight, 3-run shot to right center. Cedric Mullins smokes an absolute laser off of the Cabanas in right center. Then Ramon Laureano, Oppo for a 2-run dinger to right field, game, set, match, right? That's what you're thinking. You would be wrong. The Tampa Bay Rays come all the way back, scoring 3 in the third, 1 in the fourth, 4 in the fifth. 2 of them coming on a Brandon Lau pinch hit 2-run bomb that completed the comeback, tied the game up. Then in the 7th, it was former Ray, Andrew Kittredge, former Cardinal as well, who was on, and he was greeted quite unkindly by his former team, giving up 4 2-out singles, and the Rays played 4 more runs. They go on to win this one by a score of 12-8. Rays scored 12 runs on 18 hits, and shout out to their bullpen after Taj Bradley got beat up early. They used 6 pitchers to cover the final 7 2/3 innings to move to 1.5 games behind the Yankees in the American League East. Are you a believer, Jon Frisch, in what the Tampa Bay Rays are doing?
Yeah, if they keep it up, and they're certainly taking advantage of the playing in that spring training field of
It's
that
the
belongs to the
same
Yankees.
size as Yankee Stadium,
It's
though.
true.
So it's the same stadium
Well,
that
but
the Yankees are playing in.
You got that hot weather down there, so the ball's going to fly around that yard as opposed to up there in Yankee Stadium. But look, the AL East is all of a sudden becoming interesting, and just when you think the Orioles, hey, did they find their groove? Are they back? Well, then the Rays go and do something like this. And I got to say it, totally redeem themselves. No, but the AL East is just getting so much more interesting. We'll talk about that a little bit more as we get into the Blue Jays versus the Diamondbacks later on, too.
All right, let's shift it over to the West Coast. Padres at Dodgers, game 3 of this series, which is always an entertaining one. John, why don't you take us to LA since you're closer to them than me, and let us know what went on at Dodger Stadium tonight.
Yeah, tensions are always high when it comes to the Dodgers and the Padres. Dodgers have taken the first 2 of this 4-game set, and they want to win this series at home. So let's turn it over to Vince of Locked On Dodgers to tell us how game 3 went down.
Off a plane and straight into a walk-off. This is Vince from Locked On Dodgers, and Dodgers pull it off with the walk-off win. Big Will Smith comes through in the bottom of the 9th with the home run off Robert Suarez, but it was the pitching that was the standout for the Dodgers today. Emmett Sheehan in his return, 4 solid innings, 6 strikeouts. Going to be a great addition to this rotation. Justin Robleski continues his great string of pitching the last few outings. Finished out the game, 5 innings, 3 strikeouts. A little bit of a defensive issue there in the 9th inning that caused the Padres to tie the game, but the Dodgers came right back in the next inning to win it. It was a solid win. The Dodgers have now won the first 3 of a 4-game series, with Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the mound on Thursday, going for the series sweep to crush the Padres' hopes and dreams a little bit. So we'll talk about it more on Locked On Dodgers with the podcast and on YouTube.
JD, I got to tell you that Vince is committed. Getting off a plane at LAX, man, that's just like the most insane.
Is he on a private jet flying around the country with a super sweet
might as well
beard
be.
of his? Like, looking good, Vince.
That's commitment, though, going and filming a video at LAX. That place is chaos. But listen, 21 saves this season for Robert Suarez, but he can't lock it down to keep it tied. His 3rd loss of the season, in addition to 2 blown saves. This was his first time pitching since Saturday when he blew up against the Diamondbacks. So I think that the Padres need to be a little bit more considerate of the fact that maybe he needs some work in between outings, because to go that long and then have a result like this, especially against the Dodgers, where you're probably going to need Robert Suarez in there at some point, you've got to keep that weapon fresh. You got to keep him going. So I think they could do a better job of looking ahead, trying to get some work in for him, and making sure that he doesn't have a game like this. But Will Smith with the walk-off pinch hit home run puts the Dodgers up 4-3 over the Padres. They've taken all 3 games so far.
All right, moving on to the Red Sox at the Mariners, meeting for the rubber match of this 3-game set. Boston has only scored 2 runs in the post-Devers era, so clearly he's the problem for that team too. Could they get enough to take the finale against Seattle? Well, it turned out to be a close one between 2 great pitchers, Garrett Crochet for the Red Sox, Luis Castillo for the Mariners. Marcelo Mayer, one of the top prospects in all of baseball, obviously for the Boston Red Sox as well, got the scoring started with a solo home run in the 2nd. The Mariners were able to strike back when former Cardinal Randy Arozarena doubled, moved to 3rd, and came home on a wild pitch. But Trevor Story, the old man, really, on that team now, put up the winning runs with a 2-run blast in the 4th, driving in Mayer. He's obviously been a guy that, when healthy, he's very productive, but it's hard to keep him on the field. Crochet ends up going 6 innings, gives up 6 hits, but both the Red Sox and the Mariners bullpens kept the other team's hitless across the remaining 3 innings, where it ended up falling in favor of the Red Sox by a score of 3-1. Moving down south a little bit, where the Phillies were visiting the Miami Marlins. Nick Castellanos back in the Phillies lineup the day after he got benched by manager Rob Thompson for inappropriate comments made to him. The Marlins and Phillies have split the series so far going into this one. Could Castellanos be a difference maker now that he's back in the lineup? Could he be more motivated, or could the Marlins make it another big win against Philly? We got Connor of Locked On Phillies with his thoughts of what happened in Miami.
The Phillies bounce back with a 4-2 win over the Marlins. Ranger Suarez is great on the mound, and Nick Castellanos gets his poetic justice. I'm Connor Thomas, your host of Locked On Phillies. We'll get to Casty in a second, but Ranger Suarez, great in his start against the Marlins. Absolutely dominant. He looks really, really good lately on the mound. Bryson Stott, he's been terrible lately. Like, everybody's seeing it. But a big-time 3-run bomb from him early to give the Phillies some breathing room. It would have been the difference in the game. I know they added one more on, but great to see Bryson Stott figure something out. Maybe that's a jumping off point for him. And Nick Castellanos, runners on first and second, 2 outs, bottom of the ninth. Fly ball right field up against the wall, and he goes and gets it. Defensive replacement, my rear. I don't know what that says about the benching and the complaining, but end of the day, he gets his moment. You love to see it. We'll talk a lot more about it on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Phillies.
All right, well, Castellanos making a difference in the game, and
imagine that.
He's one of those guys, and maybe he didn't get the publicity early on, but definitely when he got to Cincinnati, the aura of Nick Castellanos started to come out a little bit. I know it sort of was there with the Cubs, but he really blossomed when he finally got to Cincinnati and became a star player. And he's one of those guys that you hate him if he's on the team you're playing. And if he's on your team, you absolutely love this dude. So good to see him getting some redemption in this particular game. Ranger Suarez, 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, 100 run, 2 walks, 8 Ks. His first start of the year back in May was a blow up, but since then he's been very, very good. He's pitched 6 innings or more, given up 3 runs or less in every start since then. So the Phillies, like their rotation, it's just up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
Some guys, sometimes, early on the season, Luzardo is lights out, can't be touched. Now he's in trouble, but now you've got, Suarez stepping up in his place. And that's what good teams do. One guy goes down, somebody else steps up and helps them get through it. So good stuff for the Phillies right now. Coming up, Royals turning things around in Texas. We'll tell you all about it on MLB Game Night. Today's show being brought to you by Gametime. Now, Gametime is the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. And whether it's MLB games, you want to go to any sporting event, really. I know hockey just wrapped up, but NBA games, you want to go to NFL games, and NFL's right around the corner. With the money you save on tickets, you're going to be able to splurge on other things because we know how expensive it can be going to some of these events, food, drinks, merchandise, paying for other people's tickets. Gametime is going to make buying those tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app, they actually drop the closer you get to first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute ticket deals and the lowest price guarantee. They are the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB, so let them help you out the next time you go to a game. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code Locked On MLB, LOCKEDON MLB for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. We head down to Texas. Royals in town to face the Rangers. Had a pair of southpaws in this particular one as the Royals had their ace on the mound tonight in Chris Bubich, looking for the series win in Arlington, while the Rangers counter with Patrick Corbin, who's having a bit of a bounce-back year after some down years with the Washington Nationals. Here's Jack from Locked On Royals. He's got the story on something the team has not done in over 10 years.
Make it 2 straight for the Royals as they take their first series in Arlington since 2014. I'm the host of Locked On Royals, Jack Johnson, giving you a few takeaways from tonight's game. Well, all season long when Chris Bubich had taken the bump, he had rarely gotten any run support. I can recall back to a time at Kauffman Stadium where he tossed 7 innings of 1-run ball to Detroit. Unfortunately, the offense didn't give him anything. Against the Yankees, he didn't pitch that great, but also the offense didn't really give him a chance either. Tonight, it was the offense finally giving him some support, especially coming from Maikel Garcia, who should absolutely be headed to the All-Star game in Atlanta. Garcia drives in 4 and falls just a double shy of the cycle. He is now hitting .318 on the season. They're going to try and go for a sweep tomorrow with Michael Wacha on the bump. The Rangers, on the other hand, are going to go with a bullpen game. So we'll see what happens then before the Royals head off to San Diego for a series with the Padres.
All right, Rangers had a 2-0 lead early on in this one, thanks to an RBI double by Wyatt Langford, who's got the biggest forearms you've ever seen in your life,
Yes.
by the way, if you've ever watched him. And then an RBI single from another former Cardinal. Go figure, Adolis Garcia. But they didn't really get much going after that. Offense has been their real problem so far this season. Corbin goes 5 innings, gives up 4 earned on 6 hits, including the 3-run home run or the home run, I should say, by Michael Garcia, his 8th of the year. Jack mentioned Garcia. He's just having a heck of a season, John. After the big night in Texas, 318 average, as he said, 8 home runs, 35 RBIs, 15 stolen bases. John, true or false? Michael Garcia has been the team MVP this year over Bobby Witt Jr.
Ooh, you're going to put that evil on me? Oh, my gosh. Well, you can't have a Royals team without Bobby Witt Jr., but the fact is, Michael Garcia is certainly having himself a season. I picked him 1 year too early for fantasy baseball. I took him last year. Yeah, it was fine, but this year I'm really missing out on the Garcia love. So, hey, keep it up, man, and you could be making a name for yourself over Bobby Witt, or at least join in the ranks of, hey, when you think of the Royals, you think of Bobby Witt Jr. and Michael Garcia, and he's making a case for himself for the All-Star game as well. So just like Jack said, pay attention to Garcia.
Yeah, he certainly deserves to be there. Nice left side of the infield they got going there with those two at third and shortstop. Okay. Moving on to the Twins at the Reds. Mother Nature having a little fun in the Queen City on Wednesday. The original start time was delayed a couple of hours. Then heavens opened up again in the 6th inning before the umps ended up calling this one. Byron Buxton hits the first pitch of the game for a leadoff home run for the Twins. Second time he's actually done a leadoff home run this year, 13th of the season, and the Twins were off and running. Twins would get another one in the 4th inning, but then it all dried up. That was all they could muster. Bailey Ober did he was just very, very hittable tonight. Let's put it that way. That's a nice way to say it. Dealt with traffic throughout the whole night, goes 5 2/3 innings, allows 4 runs, 9 hits, including a 2-run shot by Spencer Steer. And you know as well as I do, when you get an early lead in a game, the one thing you want your pitcher to do is just throw up 1-0. Just give me the 1 so we can carry that momentum. He did not do that. The Reds immediately answered and took the lead right back. Nick Lodolo, the big lefty, technically gets a complete game after tossing 6 and allowing 2 runs and striking out 4. Had some really tall guys on the mound tonight, John. Ober for the Twins listed at 6'9". Nick Lodolo for the Reds is 6'6", but he looks taller because he's so skinny. Do you know, without looking it up, don't cheat, who the tallest pitchers in baseball history are? They're also the tallest players ever to play Major League Baseball. Do you know who they are? Hint, one is active, one is not. One's active right now? Yeah.
Man, I have no clue. It's got to be some kind of reliever or something because I'm thinking about starters and I can't think of it. Who do you got?
All right, so the guy that is no longer around, and well, he's alive, but he's just not playing Major League Baseball anymore. John Roush. Yeah, I don't want to start rumors about the guy, but played with a bunch of teams: White Sox, Expos, Nationals, Diamondbacks, Twins, Blue Jays, the Mets, the Marlins. Was a pitcher from 2002 to 2013. And then somebody out west by you, Sean Jelly. Currently with the San Francisco Giants, both listed at 6'11". Most people guess Randy Johnson. He fell 1 inch short, apparently. Hall of Famer Randy Johnson at 6'10". And there's a couple of guys that did that. Tallest position player ever? Any guesses on who that might be?
Oh, man. I can't. Judge? Judge?
Former first baseman and current MLB PA executive director, Tony Clark.
Hey,
6'9".
Okay.
6'9". Spent a lot of time with the Tigers, and my goodness, he was quite a target for those infielders. All right, Astros at the A's. Take us to Sacramento, John. What happened in this one?
Oh, my gosh. So we said it yesterday. The Astros did some yard work on Tuesday night, blasting 5 home runs. They beat the A's 13-3. Are they going to stay hot for 2 nights in a row? Well, it was a 2-1 ball game until the 6th. That's when the Astros bats got hot again. They scored 7 runs in the top half, 3 coming on a Jose Altuve home run, his 12th of the year. That guy will just never go away. He's always going to be doing stuff like this. Victor Caratini hit his 4th home run, and just like that, it was 9-1. Houston does not have a problem. Severino went for the A's, 5 innings, 2 runs, 9 hits, 5 Ks, but the A's bullpen gave up 9 runs in 4 innings, and that's been their issue all season long. Cam Smith show the last 2 nights in Sacramento. On Tuesday, he goes 4 for 5 with 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, 3 runs scored. Follow that up Wednesday night, going 3 for 4 with 2 more runs scored, raised his average a whole 23 points across those 2 days. The Astros are now 43-31, a 5.5 game lead in the AL West, doing it all without Yordan Alvarez. I keep saying it. Friggin' Astros, you think they're out of it. They get off to a bumpy start, and then all of a sudden, they're at the top of the division. It looks like they're doing that again, man.
Yeah, and we're not sure when Alvarez is going to come back, but the latest prognosis has been positive. At least that's what they're saying. Rockies and Nationals, this series between Colorado and Washington, it's been all Rockies so far, and they look to win their 4th game in a row for the first time all year, while the Nationals, they've lost 10 straight. Will there be any help coming to the Nationals in this one? Let's hear from Ryan Clary of Locked On Nationals to see if they could turn it around.
11 straight losses for the Washington Nationals. This team, it's broken. It's simply broken. I'm Ryan Clary from Locked On Nationals, and the Nats lose tonight against the Colorado Rockies, the worst team in baseball since 1899. They lost 3-1 tonight's game. Again, 11 straight loss for the Washington Nationals. What can you say even more? At this point, you had Mitchell Parker go out there and shove it against the Rockies. But of course, Washington Nationals only 1 run in 9 innings against a pitching staff that has an ERA in the 7s. Listen, guys, there's really not much to break down. I will say this: Brady House looked good yet again, back-to-back nights of having 2 hits. That's kind of what you're looking for at this point in time. The Nationals, will they win again? We don't know.
It's true. We don't know. Your Angels, John, were mired in a 14-game losing streak at one point, and that's when they fired your manager at the time, Joe Madden. Davey Martinez, is he on the hook if they lose their 12th game tomorrow?
Get him out of there. After what he said about putting the blame on the player, like, he's got to get cooked. He's fried, man. I think it's time for a new voice, especially with this new core of young players with the Nationals, because you are not getting what you should be getting out of these young guys. So something's not getting through. So I think he's done if they lose 12 in tomorrow's game.
Yeah, I don't even think he should wait till 12. Just cut the cord and let's move on, because the season has gone down the toilet very quickly for them. Final game of the night, Diamondbacks at the Blue Jays. Blue Jays got back-to-back homers in the 9th on Tuesday to walk it off against the D-backs. Toronto, an offense that, if they keep going the way they had, but I know they had that losing streak there for a few games, but like they've had a really good offense for most of the year. They can do some damage, man. I got to see that firsthand when they faced the Cardinals and swept St. Louis. And that continued on Wednesday night. They took game 2, 8-1 over Arizona. Bo Bichette, he homers again in this one. He's been a monster for them. Vladdy Jr. reached base 5 times, including a 2-run double and an RBI single. Still not double-digit home runs yet, John. I know you were very upset with him about that he hasn't been carrying his weight just yet. They had a Diamondback starter, Eduardo Rodriguez, his first losing decision since April 29th. We mentioned the Rays climbing into the AL East standings, and the Blue Jays are right there behind them at 40-33, currently hold the second AL wildcard spot. For Arizona, you can breathe a sigh of relief because star outfielder Corbin Carroll, one of my favorite players in the league, got hit on the hand in the 8th inning when he was hitting, and he ran the bases, but then came out of the game. They took x-rays afterwards, negative. So they're basically going to just have to, it's a pain tolerance thing for Corbin Carroll moving forward, but that hand is obviously going to be sore. So that is going to wrap things up for MLB Game Night tonight. We appreciate all of you guys being a part of it. Obviously had some postponements: Cardinals at White Sox, Brewers at Cubs, Pirates at Tigers. A lot of rain in the Midwest.
What's going on over there in the Midwest, JD?
We need roofs, man. We got to start building stadiums with roofs because Mother Nature has not been kind. This is going to be the 6th doubleheader of the season already for the Cardinals coming up on Thursday. It's crazy, dude. But thank you guys for joining us for this episode. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We hope you'll come back, visit us next time on MLB Game Night. Every game, every night.